Alright you guys, and welcome back to a brand new sculpting video. And this week I'm gonna make something fat. Again. Oops. Anyways, as I was saying, I'm gonna be making something fat. Or extremely chubby to say the least. And since I already made a fat Bob, the only logical thing to sculpt next is a fat Patrick. Or a FATRICK if you will. Now, FATRICK starts out as they all do by covering an aluminum ball with clay, which then gets absolutely cheeked up. And after blending in the two butt cheeks, I added the ever important crack on the top. And since YouTube isn't your typical platform to display nudity, I'll better start to add some panties immediately. Making sure to give them a nice blend, while still leaving a plumber's crack for the world to see. And with the butt sculpted, we're on to the second most important feature of any human and also starfish body, I guess. The feet. Or in FATRICK's case, just the legs, since the designers apparently are unaware of the beauty, that is, the foot. And once my legs are fully sculpted, I can go ahead and lay a layer of pants onto those as well. After figuring out the correct placement, I can attach and blend them to the butt. With a smooth blend accomplished, I'll go ahead and work my way to the front in a way of adding some more chubby details to the torso, which essentially consists of nothing but belly. And a butt, I guess. And since I made my fat Bob laying on his back, I'll have FATRICK laying on his stomach. And therefore I gave him a nice belly fold forming beneath his body. And after some more squishing and squashing, I'm happy with its shape. Which now brings us on to adding a huge ring wrapped around his body, laying the foundation for some future rod holding up some delicious snacks. With the placement figured out, I can blend in some more folds as well as reposition the ring. And while FATRICK is hula hooping with limited success, I can get started working on his head. Said head starts out as they all do by shaping a ball into a wiener, in FATRICK's case it's quite pointy, where I can then carve a mouth into, and now we are already onto placing two tiny balls on my wiener, or eyes if you will, but that sorta ruins my metaphor. And since his body shape indicates that food gets him all hyped up, I'ma add a tongue hanging from his mouth. I can then connect FATRICK's head to his rounded body with the addition of some sausage-shaped neck folds. And the only thing missing at this point are some arms, which are the exact same shape as his legs. So when it comes down to anatomy, FATRICK essentially is just a big butt with 5 wieners attached to it. And a build of such kind definitely puts him amongst my all-time favorite sculptures. Anyways, I'll then poke a hole for the aforementioned rod. And the only thing missing at this point are his eyebrows, and they again got a very specific shape, but I think I already made up for the lack of wiener jokes in last week's video, so I'll refer to them as worm-shaped. So yeah, after making said worms already in the right color, I can give the rest of the model the right color as well, starting by covering FATRICK in an initial layer of pink paint. Followed by some more layers, but that's the work you usually don't get to see, since it's rather repetitive. Next up is the application of a dark pink wash, which I'll use to cover all the cracks and folds on his body, especially the butt, where I can only imagine how uncomfortably cold that must be. After washing, I can cover the eyes in a first coat of white, and I say first here, since I had to repaint them like a dozen times since my clumsy hands kept overpainting them while working on the other parts. Speaking of other parts, more specifically pants, since I'm currently painting those in that nice bright green. And in a manner of jumping back and forth, we are now back to the head, where I'll be painting his tongue purple, and I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but with that much pink on the model, I just wanted to break that monotony. So next up is painting those flower petals or leaves on FATRICK's pants, And let me tell you, that shit took way too long. I don't know if it's the weird shape or the fact that it's on an uneven surface. But after painting the fourth one, I was done for the day, especially because painting the ones on the side was even more tedious. However, I think they turned out quite lovely. Alright, enough self-glazing. Back to painting. And although FATRICK isn't Bob, I'll still be using a sponge for some dry brush, and then set him aside and get started making the rod and snack. Now, said rod starts out as a piece of wire wrapped in some clay. And since I want to give it that typical bamboo look all the fishing nets appearing in the show seem to have, I added some gaps. Which now brings us onto the making of the aforementioned snack, where I'll be making a banana. Well, I guess it's pretty obvious at this point. Anyways, I can then paint these, and the paint job is pretty straightforward. I'll give the rod a white to yellow base coat and highlight all the gaps with a brown wash. Followed by applying the same yellow base coat to the hula hoop. And before painting the banana, I realized that my star is still missing his darker pink dots, so I added those. Then we're on to some UV resin action. And in an attempt of making the process look smooth on camera, I without any hesitation dropped a big blob on each eye, which led to it running out of the eyes and me slightly panicking. Anyways, I then added some saliva in a desperate attempt of catching it mid-air. Then I glued his eyebrows in place, and that's FATRICK really done now. And with the best saved for last, I can finally paint my banana, which I'll be giving after painting the stem brown and orange wash. And that's it for the banana. So the only thing missing now is something to connect the banana to the rod, which is where this old cord comes in very handy. So after painting said cord a bit darker, I can glue all my pieces together, and that's FATRICK done. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to also check out Fat Bob. Leave a like if you'd also like to see hula hooping making it to the Olympics. And please subscribe, and if you want to go the extra mile, you can also check out my Patreon for some more behind the scenes content. And I'll catch you next week, I guess. And I love y'all. Bye.